What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. So, I touched on it a little bit last episode about the J.J. Watt signing to the Cardinals. I want to deep dive into that. We'll talk about the Arizona Cardinals offseason and their plans possibly for the draft. So let's get to it. The Arizona Cardinals signed J.J. Watt to a 2-year, $31 million deal. 23 of that is guaranteed money. So, the bottom line with this move, go make this defense elite and go get you a Super Bowl. You've already seen, two of these big moves this season. This one not like a super shocker because, there's a lot of teams shopping J.J. Watt. And, the Texans didn't end up, they just released him. Obviously, there was a discussion, with McNair, the owner. But you've seen two big moves, Super Bowl type moves. The Colts trading, getting Carson Wentz, and then the Rams trading, getting Stafford. This one is, trying to put this Cardinals defense, take it to the next level, put this defense over the top. You got, Hassan Riddick, who, they got to just kind of decide what they want to do. If they want to, franchise tag him. Patrick Peterson's getting up there in age. But, Chandler Jones, Budda Baker, one of the best safeties in the National Football League. You got talent on defense. You got a star quarterback who hopefully can continue to improve next year. Maybe when it comes to hopefully they maybe they can add a receiver in the draft. But the bottom line, J.J. Watt, hopefully he can stay healthy because the last few seasons him staying healthy has not really been a thing. The last 4 years he's only two of the last 4 years he's played the full 16 games, and then last year production wasn't great, but that was just a really bad Texans team. So it gives the Cardinals a chance to do something special next year in a division that you need you need more superstar talent. This division is just loaded now. I mean, you got Aaron Donald in that division. You got to play twice a year. Russell Wilson, if he stays in Seattle, you got to play him twice a year. So just finding more guys to get after Russell Wilson is always a plus, and you found that with a proven pass rusher and a big name commodity that'll sell tickets. Let's be honest, and J.J. Watt, and Dan Patrick touched on there's a high demand for Watt. It's surprising that they didn't try to get some a couple draft picks out of it, but anyways, Cardinals. Byron Murphy is under contract, so that's good there. Murphy's been solid for him. Corner is obviously kind of like the glaring need. It looks like they could move on from Patrick Peterson and or franchise tag. It looks like they'll move on from Drake Kirkpatrick, Jonathan Joseph, but if it's at 16, it's tough that they might not get Surtain or Farley, but. Who knows? They could be a team that falls in love with J.C. Horn. He's kind of the number 3 corner in this draft, and you could go get him there at 16. Or there's so many. This is a draft that has some good depth at corner. Tyson Campbell is a guy that's really grown on me. Super physical, athletic corner. Maybe he hasn't had kind of the gaudy numbers as far as interceptions and pass breakup, but he's a competitive kid that I think could play at the next level and become maybe a solid starter. Could probably play on the outside. Greg Newsome from Northwestern's a guy that's shot up draft boards. Paulson Adebo opted out this year, but if they're looking for a true outside corner, I think they have that in Paulson Adebo. Is a guy that's got pretty good ball skills and has good length. As far got the long arms and ability to play some press man to man and be a guy that'll be tough to get off the ball from. So Christian Kirk had some wide receiver is the kind of the next big need. Christian Kirk had some big games for him last year, but they were looking for more of a consistent number 2. Could Christian Kirk be that guy potentially? But this is a receiver draft that is so loaded. It's going to be a stretch if it's it's kind of a shot in the dark that Chase Waddle and Devontae Smith, one of those guys, will be there. But Rondell Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, second or third round. Rondell Moore, if you love him in the first round, go get him. Terence Marshall, Damian Tamarian Terry. Tamarian Terry is a guy that has been a sleeper. He's really climbed up the board for some analysts. He's a guy that's blazing fast and had to dealt with an injury this year. That's why his production was not very good this year and only played in a few games. But Terence Marshall's growing on me a lot. Terence Marshall has that Missouri game. It was like 11 catches, 200 yards. He's a guy that not can win in the slot, and you can play him inside and outside. So I think Terence Marshall could be a good complement to DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. I think he's that's a good fit with his ability to move inside and outside with the Cardinals. So Terence Marshall could be a second, third round guy, but a guy to watch out for. And then at tight end, obviously it looks like they're not going to get Pitts, but Freiermuth or Jordan. I think Pat Freiermuth is a guy that people are really sleeping on in this draft. He's a guy that really played very well at Penn State, and maybe he kind of went as Penn State just had a down year. He had a little bit of a what was it? He only played like a couple games because of injury, but had a good career at Penn State, made some big plays, and showed out in big games. So Freiermuth, the guy, whatever day two, wherever he goes. Guy that you got to target, Brevin Jordan from Miami too, a guy that's a pretty good blocker, and his production was, still very solid this year and then in years past at Miami. So you got the production and the ability to block, both those two things, believe it or not, are, not a lot of tight ends come out with the ability to, do both. And, you could say that about Freiermuth too. So those are guys that you really have to, think long and hard about too, especially if you're the Cardinals. Dan Arnold did some decent things, had some big plays, but getting another tight end there would be awesome to help out your young quarterback. Yeah, and also so this could be it for Larry Fitzgerald too in Arizona. So yeah, playmakers on offense, and then the cornerback position, because it looks like with J.J. Watt coming in, it looks like he should be good at pass rusher, and you took Isaiah Simmons last year, who he didn't play a whole lot this year, but showed some passes and showed some flashes, in the ability to rush the passer. So yeah, I think that's offense, and I say that the Cardinals have the fun needs. I think it's more fun, when you need. It's easier to, it's more fun to watch and evaluate wide receivers and, the tight ends, the playmakers, So, yes, should be, their organization seems to, evaluate talent pretty well and make bold moves. You saw that, when they went and got Kyler Murray. People forget they had already drafted Josh Rosen the prior year, so it was kind of a bold move taking another quarterback, back-to-back years first round. So, Oklahoma finished I want to transition to this. Oklahoma finished the season strong last year with a big bowl win over the Florida Gators. And, the story was Spencer Rattler struggled early. They got off to a 1-2 start, and people were, kind of saying, there's going to be a lot of growing pains for Spencer Rattler. But I think, Oklahoma this year, this is a potential team that could not only just make the playoffs, but win a game and get to the national championship and possibly win the national championship. I think Oklahoma, and not even I think, I know they can. Spencer Rattler is a guy that he has come into Oklahoma and just improved drastically. His redshirt freshman season just kept getting better, and this defense under Alex Grinch, credit to him, they have just gotten better and better, and they've really added some serious talent on that side of the ball. Oklahoma does a good job of they find that they don't always get like the big time 5 stars. Oklahoma's always kind of like Notre Dame and a little bit Michigan. They kind of always in the 10, Penn State 10 to 15 range in recruiting, not always heavy loaded with 5 stars each year, but boy, they do find these kids from Texas. David Agwebu, he's a guy that played very well this year. He's a potential breakout candidate. Nick Bonito, I love his ability to rush the passer. I think he was their sack leader this year, and the defense just looks more physical and faster, and they've shown a lot better ability to cover and make plays. They had Norwood made several interceptions. Trey Brown, who they lose at corner. I love Trey Brown. I think he a potential sleeper in the draft. But Yeah, I love what I've seen, the improvement Oklahoma has, more of a big physical defense like they used to have, under Bob Stoops back in, you want to go way back to 2000 when they won the national title, and even, early 2000s to, late 2000s. But yeah, it looks like a defense that could match up better, because let's be honest, in 2018 that was a defense that just didn't belong in the playoff against Bama. Same with 2019, they just got shredded by Joe Burrow. But I think this defense and this team has really turned the corner. That not only is this a team that when they win the Big 12 next year and they start rolling and playing hot later and improve defensively, I think all the analysts will say, you know what, let's give them another shot. Let's let them compete in the playoff, and I think they can go toe to toe. If this defense turns that corner, which I think they will, they can go toe to toe with the Alabama, the Clemson, the Ohio State, or even Georgia if Georgia gets in there. So yeah, I've liked what I've seen out of Oklahoma and their improvement on the defensive side of the ball. And Rattler's going to get talked about as maybe one of the top 3 quarterback prospects in the draft next year with Howell, Slovis, and whoever else may emerge potentially. So yeah, it'll be exciting for Oklahoma heading into 2021, and a lot of mystery and a lot of discussion if they play well and they win the Big 12 again, whether they deserve another shot in the college football playoff, because they kind of had the Notre Dame effect. It's like they're kind of just tired of seeing them, because it's just like several years now, Oklahoma just didn't compete when they got there, and that's Notre Dame's kind of got that way too. They just aren't competing when they get there. But so yeah, it looks like next year maybe they get that chance. So yeah, people, a lot of hype around Georgia football, and I'm buying it. I love the way, when I went back and watched the way they played against Cincinnati, that pass rush, it was ferocious, and I think they can, play that way this year. They have recruited so well. Nolan Smith, that Dean guy, was it N'Kobe Dean, and they got some guys back on the defensive side of the ball, and playmakers galore on offense. JT Daniels, George Pickens, Blaylock at receiver. They're going to be a team to watch, and with Florida losing a lot of guys, I think it's Georgia's to lose in the SEC East, and they not as much this year, but they've shown the ability to compete with Bama. So, Georgia is I still think, Georgia, if you talk about tiers, it's Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, tier 1. But like I talk with my dad, I think Georgia and Oklahoma are really knocking on that door to try to get to tier 1. This year they have the potential to do it. LSU I would put in that tier 2. The tier 2 teams haven't been as consistent. But that when things come together, they can get in that national title playoff mix. But some would argue that Oklahoma is a tier 1, but it's heavily debatable. It depends on what your criteria is. If your criteria is the ability to dominate your conference, check, but ability to get to the playoff, check, but ability to win a game in the playoff, no. Ability to win the national championship, no. So. And I would say that is a question mark for next year. But in my opinion, I believe they can. So that's why I'd say tier 2 knocking on the door. And then, the same for Georgia, tier 2, but knocking on the door. And then LSU, still going to be so young next year. So it'll be tough to say. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. So, yeah, it's the SEC is it's gonna be tough again next year. LSU, a lot of youngsters they had step up this year. They're gonna have a lot of guys back returning. So Florida they have a good young quarterback that'll likely start, and Florida have some good young weapons too. Damian Pierce, I think he's another guy that ESPN had on their list as potential breakout candidates. So. Yeah, Florida is not going to be an easy out, but for Georgia, if Georgia is the preseason favorite, so I guess this will all be decided next year, and I can't wait to get for college football season. Honestly, it's it could be another top heavy year, but I think there's teams that are closing the gap, and I think people would love to see some more more competitive semifinal games, and so thanks for tuning in, guys. Stay tuned for more episodes from the show. Till next time, peace.